Tell me. Go.
Starting. Go.
Okay. Hi, this is Freddy Blanck from Domaine Paul Blanck in Alsace. Today we are with Ed Merrison from CellarHand. CellarHand. And we're going to talk about the Riesling Schlossberg produced at Domaine Paul Blanck.
That's right. Well, it's a real pleasure, I have to say. It's a Friday afternoon. I'm here with Freddie. It's nice to have in fact, an overseas visitor, especially from one of our favourite regions in the world. As Freddie said, we are having knockoff drinks here. The 2017 Domaine Paul Blanck Schlossberg grand-cru Riesling. So Schlossberg was the first grand-cru in Alsace. It's the main vineyard in your village of Kientzheim. What is it that makes Schlossberg so special?
It is because it's a special terroir. That's from the start. So people realize that 200 years ago, 150 years ago, it's just realized they sitting on something special. So they try to make it special. It's just a granite hill, so it's stones with 30-40 centimeters granite, decomposed granite sand on the top. So it's quite stressy for growing vines on that one, and you couldn't grow anything else.
Yeah.
So people plant the grapes and then try to make them mature. And then in trying, they realize that you could not grow a big crop on that one if you want ripe grapes. So they work on trying to reduce the crop, then reducing the crop, finding new trading systems on working the soil differently until they arrive on this result of what we have. And so seeing that it takes 10-12 years to get a good root system on a vine, just because the soil is not deep, you get some fault in the mineral, so the roots go down through the fault in a stone to get the humidity.
Yep.
The result is just amazing because you get this minerality not extracted necessarily from the soil, because roots don't extract minerality, but the situation on the climate makes that you get this very funny acidity who looks like a big minerality. So
Yeah, right. So yeah, you mentioned earlier, like when you talk about soil on this, it's not really soil, as you said. It's just a massive piece of rock, a big piece of granite. And of course, Alsace, when you talk about that stress, that's talking about vines having to work pretty hard in these soils. Yeah, have a lot of rainfall in Alsace anyway, being in the rain shadow of the Vosges Mountains, and those vines really have to dig deep to get the humidity that they need to keep going. And I suppose when people talk about Grand Cru, they always perhaps expect power and heft and size, but of course we get that in a way from Schlossberg. Like you feel the monumentality of the minerality. I know that sounds very poncy, but you do get that sense. But at the same time, it is subtle. Like this is a 2017 wine that's only just starting to wake up, I think.
It's 2017 wine, and it's also a Riesling. So on a Riesling, you don't expect power like you can expect it in a Cabernet Sauvignon or in a Merlot or in a Shiraz. In a Riesling, you expect finesse and elegance. So the length, the power. In Riesling coming from Schlossberg, generally you get this undercover power who comes by time, and it can take years, but when you have it on a palate, you can feel the power, the potential power the wine is going to get out. So it's all in the elegance, in the it's difficult to find a word.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at this wine this morning with the CellarHand team.
It's power, but
just talking about how on the palate, when you first sort of sense the wine, it's not exactly unassuming, but at the same time, there's a real strength here that sneaks up on you. The depth of the obviously really nicely ripened Riesling grapes, flavors, real pure flavors, but obviously a lot of that. I don't know, it's very hard to define that sort of stoniness, but what I would say is you talk about that acidity that feels like minerality. I mean, that's the thing, you get this real linear drive on this wine, but then a real sense of sort of grip and substance that you're left with afterwards. Yeah. It truly is a monumental wine from an amazing vineyard. That's the 2017 Schlossberg Grand Cru Riesling from our friend Freddy, all the way from France. Cheers, Freddy.
Cheers.